helped me get through all this, and having a strong faith has also kind of helped, so thanks a lot. That was that. Let's get on with the show. For now...
Dave Barrett and team, definitely not for the faint-hearted. It's Late and Live.
Late and Live, the topical talk show where you do the talking. Your host, Dave Barrett.
Thanks very much, good evening, and welcome to Late and Live. Just before we get the show underway, I just wanted to say a couple of words, a couple of thank yous, and I'm sure many of you will have read in the press about the sad loss I had about a week and a half ago. And I just really wanted to very quickly take this opportunity to thank all my family and friends for all the support they give me. The 100 here as well who've been just brilliant. Thank you for that. And also, all my colleagues here at HTV and at GWR have all just been wonderful, so thank you to all of you. You've really helped me get through all this, and having a strong faith has also kind of helped, so thanks a lot. That was that. Let's get on with the show. Fenella and Katrina, here they are.
Hi there.
Looking very smart tonight, I must say as well. Very smart. Very grown up for a change. Yeah. What have we got on the show tonight?
Well, Dave, also grown up, we've got a gobsmackingly brilliant show. I have to tell you, it's packed full of goodies. And of course, our very own musical maestro, Mr. Tony Cole, is here. Here he is.
Thank you.
Tony, you're here a little bit earlier on in the programme, so you can tell me what your song's about.
Well, I've been asked to sing about prisons this week.
Lovely.
Because I've been behind a few bars in my time.
Propping them up.
Specifically, it's about the idea that prisoners get to softer time and victims get to harder time. That's the idea of it. Anyway.
Interesting. It's very good, actually. We heard it in rehearsal. It's spot on, Tony. I look forward to hearing it later on.
Okay.
Lovely. And that's what Jerry Wrigley's on about, also on his soapbox. He thinks we're too soft on criminals. We've got a terrific band here as well in the studio tonight. Total Control. More of them later on.
And much later, we'll be talking about cults. When is a religion a cult? With us for our debate, we have the two British leaders of what used to be known as the Children of God and is now known as the Family. And in the hot seat, someone who says he'll never drink alcohol again. It's hard to believe that Keith Chegwin's happy smile was for years disguising the misery of a boozer. Now he's got a firm hold on his career and has joined us for the show tonight. Now to a woman who has a firm hold on her career as well as a number of other things. Fenella.
Oh, matron, steady on. Well, here behind this very discreet glass partition is where a lot of action is going to be taking place. Yes, indeed. Our finely tuned telephonists will be waiting to take your calls. And they're going already, as you can hear. And if you want to take part in the programme, our number to ring, as always, is 0272 722 555. That's 0272 722 555. Or if you'd rather send us a fax, because we are actually quite high-tech here at Late and Live, our fax number is 0272 722 522. 0272 722 522. We'll look forward to hearing from you. Dave.
Thanks very much indeed, Fenella. Well, do we have the best newspapers in the world? Do you think we get the press we deserve? What do we expect from our journalists? What makes us buy newspapers? After all, most of us have television and radio and hear the news headlines before we ever see a newspaper. Well, it's the press that's under discussion tonight, and we invite you at home to join in. Fenella will let us know later what some of you have said on the phones. We'd also like you to help us reflect your views in a vote. You can vote throughout the debate, and the question is, do we need press reforms? Now, the numbers to call are for yes, 0891 400 601. That's if you think we do need press reforms. I'll give you that number again, 0891 400 601. But if you think, no, we don't need press reforms, call 0891 400 400 602. That's 0891 400 602. And we'll have the computer reflecting the votes up on our screen while we're debating here in the studio. And we have two formidable journalists with us to argue the areas under debate. Sir Bernard Ingham, former press secretary to Margaret Thatcher, is totally scathing of the media. Now a Daily Express columnist and political TV presenter, he's known to have referred to the British media as a raddled and disease-racked body. Now, alongside... Some people agree. Alongside Sir Bernard is someone who has stood her ground as a journalist and most recently as editor of the Sunday Express. Eve Pollard resigned from that position after a clash with the paper's proprietor on the issue of Princess Diana. Eve published and indeed was damned. Welcome to both of you. Can I start with you, Sir Bernard? As someone who many people have accused of manipulating the press in the past when you were Margaret Thatcher's press secretary...
Wish I could.
...and now you're writing for it, why are you so scathing of it?
Well, because I think that, I do think that it's raddled with conspiracy theory. I mean, they seem to think that everybody is up to no good, Machiavellian to a fault. They reach heroic conclusions on the basis of no evidence whatsoever that I can see. If you've been press secretary at Number 10, you know that they won't check a story if they don't want it knocked down.
But didn't you play them at their own game? Didn't you manipulate them?
Well, I wish I could have done. You try manipulating the press.
Well, didn't you leak stories to them, though? Didn't you leak stories?
No, I did not leak stories to them.
You
That's
never
one
leaked
of the
stories to
myths. No, you try manipulating the press. What is very difficult to do is to manipulate the British press, bearing in mind that if you want to produce a big story for the government, you can have a formidable disaster on in another part of the world, and that will wipe the lot, all your preparation, off the front pages, just like that. It's a lottery in terms of trying to manipulate the press.
Or indeed, Princess Diana's new hairstyle might do just the same. Eve, a disease-raked body, is that how you think the press is?
Well, let me just start and say, by the way, I didn't resign because I had a disagreement with the chairman over the Princess Diana. I didn't agree with him about some things about Princess Diana, but I disagreed with...
His wife is a good friend of hers, of course.
Yes.
Ah. So I mentioned.
But I disagreed. I mean, I think that Bernard is looking at the press from the view of the political lobby, and actually the political lobby is quite important, but not really important at all anymore, because people take their political views in the main from this medium. What worries me about the press is that they throw out red meat every day, and everybody here will say, we don't like it. When I mean red meat, who's sleeping with whom? Who's doing what with whom? 5 times a night, Gaza, people in EastEnders and all the rest of it. And the trouble is, people go out and buy it.
Of course they do.
And I mean, the Sunday Express had the story of Dennis Skinner having a love affair. And this was brought to me by the news editor, who, they bring you things like a cat with a mouse in their lap. And they throw you this and they give you photographs because somebody had rung us up. And I said, why are we printing this? I mean, Dennis Skinner is never going to be anywhere near power. He's very funny, the Beast of Bolsover, but he's not going to be in the Labour Party cabinet if they get in. Why are we doing it? Anyway, we checked Hansard. I said, he's never made a great thing about marriage, and I didn't print it. And I didn't print it, and I got a hell of a lot of stick from the male journalists and from some of the male editors. In fact, let's face it, most of the editors are male. There are only 2 female editors of newspapers. And we didn't print it, and the story only came out when somebody left the Sunday Express and went to another newspaper in a rather senior job, and out it came. I thought all the photographs were locked in my safe. So that's what's wrong. It's not, I mean, yes, you're quite right. You know, the sort of journalists in the lobby all think that there are conspiracies. What's happened now is I think the press have got very nasty.
Okay,
really attacking people.
Just before we go to the 100, just one other little thing here. I mean, it's fair to say, isn't it, that many newspapers... I mean, that was a story you sat on because you didn't think it was very good.
No, I didn't think it was fair. I mean,
Well,
do you
but I
think
mean,
it's fair to do James Major's
But I'm just going to say,
love affairs? He's not
newspapers
trying
do
to be
sit
an
on
MP.
stories that they know will be pretty sensational, but they don't print them for other reasons. Is that because they're manipulative and they hold on to them to the best possible time to release the story, or what?
Well,
have you ever sat on a story like that?
No, I haven't. The Sun sat on the squidgy tape
Right.
for 2 years and never ever thought it would ever hit the light of day.
And it did. Let's go to the 100 with some questions about the press and some points. Gentleman on the front row first, sir. Yeah,
well, certainly, I mean, I would agree that generally the British press has always been known for its fairness, and it's the interrogative bit and sort of digging out the really root causes of the problems in society. But what I seem to find is a problem, particularly with the national press. I mean, the provincial press are owned by sort of one or two barons or empires anyway, is that there's too many owned by too few, and that tends to manipulate itself in providing, you know, the stories that perhaps the proprietors want to see aired because it reflects and endorses their other
All
interests.
right, let's get some more points, and we'll go back to the sofa then. Let's go, gentleman here, sir, yeah.
You know, people like you, Mr. Ingham, and people like Max Clifford and people, all PR agents,
Don't
you're there...
associate
Can
me
I
with
finish?
Max
You've had your
Clifford.
say. Can I speak? It's very rude to interrupt, I'll tell you that. Anyway.
Yeah, but it's also very rude of you to associate me with Max Clifford.
Can I
so
finish?
Cut it out.
Can I finish?
Yeah, carry on.
I don't want to upset you, you know. People like you, the people who you work for, you're there to put a good light onto them. You tell stories, you're economical with the truth, you tell half-truths, and you lie. And at the end of the day, what do you get? Chastised? Admonished? No, you get a knighthood.
What do you know
sit back
about-
and you write a big story, getting thousands of pounds, and me, as an ordinary punter in the street, it stinks.
What do you
go
know
on, sir.
about
What do you
my
think?
job?
Well, what do you feel about that?
Well, I mean, I see him for what he is. He doesn't know anything about my job at all.
What's that? See me as what I am. What am I?
Well, you're prejudiced and biased.
How do you know that? How do you know? Because I don't. Because I object to people like you.
All right, let's...
Because I object to you.
OK, let's move on. Gentleman over here, yes, sir. He's back from LA, God help us.
What I find very interesting is that you sit there, Sir Bernard, as a non-political civil servant at the end of the day.
I'm not.
When you were Maggie Thatcher's press secretary, you were supposed to be a non-political civil servant, when actually your job was to put it over, not become a mouthpiece for the government, which is what you did. And I agree with the gentleman over there that you were economical with the truth, there were half-truths or half-lies and downright bloody lies, and most of the press at that point were your poodles, because the press, there were 4 people owned 85% of the press at the last general election. 75% of all newspapers were right-wing. You had them in your pocket, and you sit there going, but we didn't manipulate it.
OK, that's a fair point. Let's get gentleman behind, sir.
I'd like to ask a question for Eve, in fact. When the people are misrepresented, when mistakes are made, I'm always mystified to find that the actual original article was on the front page, a great big spread, but when it comes to actually apologising, it's always 2 inches and it's somewhere in the back. I'd like to ask, why isn't the apology as big as the original story and placed on the front cover?
Eve, you were an editor.
You'd never sell the paper, and of course, let's be very honest, these are commercial interests. I mean, what you're quite right, and what is unfair, possibly, and what perhaps somebody like Sir Bernard, if he can join the Press Complaints Commission, and if he's allowed to, will insist on, is that, in fact, I mean, people with smart lawyers do this. I've had to print an apology. I've obviously, like everybody else, made mistakes, or the newspaper I've worked on. If you have a smart lawyer, they say it's got to be above the fold, no further back than page 5, and you have to agree with it. You haven't got a smart lawyer, he just says, well, have an apology, and I'm afraid one is inclined to find a little spot on page 72. You're quite right that people should have some redress, and people should, in as far as they can, correct things that go wrong. I have to say, though, that, I mean, the public isn't as wonderful as you think. I mean, first of all, they come to you with their hand outstretched, because everybody knows that newspapers pay money. Secondly, they don't always tell you the truth either. And the last thing I'd ever want to do is defend Sir Bernard, who's obviously quite capable of defending himself. But journalists do have the right to go and hunt, to go and look. My objection to them nowadays is they go around in packs, and they're very lazy, and the old-fashioned thing, which actually used to start in the provinces, of going and finding whether Sir Bernard was telling the truth or not, seems to have gone.
Well, I mean, I'm perfectly prepared to leave this chap to his fantasies. I mean, I don't have any problems about that. The reality is...
says he's worried.
Yeah, the reality is this, that if you are a press secretary, as I was, for the better part of 23 years, you either have credibility as a spokesman or you don't. And you don't have any credibility if you spend your time lying. Full stop.
But didn't some newspapers actually stop coming to your press conferences because they didn't think you had any credibility?
No, they did not stop coming because I didn't have any credibility. The Guardian, the Independent and the Scotsman decided not to come to my press briefing for a purely political reason, and they waited outside the lobby when I had briefed them to try to find out what had been going on inside second-hand. That is the quality of the Independent, the Guardian and the Scotsman.
Right. Can we get on to kind of policing the press? Because it's been suggested that you should be in charge of the Press Complaints Commission.
No, it isn't.
Well, or a new body, perhaps. Some people have said you'd be good at the job. What would you do to change the way it is at the moment?
Well, I wouldn't do anything differently than they're trying to do now, but I would try to bring my judgment to bear upon the cases that are reported to the Press Council.
Okay.
And if indeed, Press Complaints Commission, and if indeed I held a particular point of view about a situation that existed, I would express it. And I would try to persuade the other commissioners to my point of view. I don't know whether they will even have me on the commission.
All right, let's go back to the Hunter. Let's go, gentleman at the very back, sir. Yes.
Two things, Dave. First of all, I think it's marvellous that Sir Bernard feels he can't manipulate the British press, because that is very important, that we have a press which can't be manipulated. Secondly, I'd like to thank the Daily Express and any other of the British press which shows us what humbug the royal family are.
OK. Let's get some more points. Lady at the back there, yeah, hi.
Very general comment.
Yeah, please do.
I think we basically should have copyright on our own lives. I mean, we haven't actually got to that point. We haven't been quite
Right, sure, no, it's a fair point.
we? And everyone should have the right to decide what the press publishes about them. And the press shouldn't invade people's privacy.
OK, let me just put that back to Eve, actually. I mean, Eve, what about privacy? How important is that?
Well, one of the problems in this country is, I mean, I thought, for example, 2 weeks ago, James Major, who was, after all, not trying to be Prime Minister, not trying to get elected, was given a really rough time by the press, and I said so on the morning on Sky, as I was on Sky that day. I do think there should be rules about what you do about people's children. Just because you're famous and you have kids, I have kids, they should not be in any way, I mean, if they want to do what they like, I should be the one who knows about it.
Have you ever run a story like that, though?
Pardon?
Have you ever run a story like that?
No, I've rejected stories about people's children because
Right.
I feel that very strongly. On the other hand, what is very hard to find out about, what worries me much more, is corruption, MPs taking money for questions, businessmen having huge pensions we know nothing about, and that's very hard for journalists to find out. In America, you have a Freedom of Information Act, which means that you can actually look at the president's income tax return.
Should we have press freedom in terms of people's privacy, though, in this country? Should the law be changed? Should we have a law?
Well, I think that it's right that we stop telephoto lenses. If you can't play around or be, you know, on your own private ground, that's outrageous. I really believe that newspapers do not bug people, and I think that should be illegal.
OK, let's get some more points. Lady up there at the back, yeah, hi.
Yeah, you said about John Major's son, we shouldn't really find out about, you know, politicians' children. But what about Mark Thatcher, what he did with all the money that
Mark Thatcher's over 21. Once you're over 21, and if you're found guilty of any wrongdoing, of course, you should be reported that. But John Major's son hadn't done anything wrong. He'd been to a party wearing very strange clothes.
Do you think that there should be legislation on privacy in Britain?
Yeah.
I think the danger is the people who would do best about it, the people we want to find out most about. It's already, I mean, I don't know what Mark Thatcher has done. I mean, he may be totally innocent, he may be totally guilty. One of the things I do know is it's very hard for journalists to find out if he has done anything incorrect. I think that the things we'll protect, and the people will protect, people like Bob Maxwell, who I did work for, who did use lawyers very well to shut people up. They're the ones who will do best out of it.
OK, Sir Bernard, do you think that's about right as it is, or would you like to see the law changed?
I would not like to see the law changed if I could possibly avoid it. I do not want to see a diminution of free speech in this country. But that means that if we are to avoid it, especially if a Labour government came, because I think they would be much more willing to legislate than a Tory government, the press have got to regulate themselves better.
Lady on the front row.
What hacks me off is that you insult our intelligence by telling us that you're printing the truth. And what happens is that you go to the side of commercialism against the side of the truth. And what happens is you get a vicar goes to a garden party and spills a plate of cakes. And what it ends up is the bishop whips himself with a chocolate eclair at the garden party. And that's what's happening in our press today. We are not getting the truth. And as I've said before, will not buy a newspaper because of the crap you feed us.
OK, just before we go to some cards from home, has anybody here ever kind of been a victim of the press or been treated unfairly? Yeah, well, OK. Yeah, lady over here as well. Let's just get a quick comment from you. Yeah, what happened to you?
Well, basically, I had a kissogram arranged for me at a local restaurant. It was a birthday. and apparently one of the people that were in the restaurant actually complained about it and took it to the police, and it was in the local papers, and each paper was slightly exaggerated, but it actually got to the Sun, and apparently it said in the Sun that I stripped this bloke naked, which was absolutely rubbish.
So they just made it up, basically.
They made it up, and I rang the Sun. I really complained about it, and they turned around and said to me, because my name wasn't mentioned in the paper, there wasn't anything I could do about it, and they didn't want to know. They wouldn't give me the reporter's name or anything.
So do you feel you had no recourse to go back to them, basically?
Well, they just didn't want to know, basically.
OK.
So I've got no... I just don't bother with the papers now, because I just don't believe what I read in them. It's
Understandably, I think. All right, let's find out what you're thinking at home now. I think Fenella's got some cards.
I have, Dave, yes, thank you very much. The phones have been sizzling on this one. Kicking off with Pete from Bristol. The press have had the chances in the past to police their own reforms. They need an independent body to regulate them, is the first comment. Laura from Kingswood. They should concentrate on real news stories, not what Princess Diana is wearing. We've had quite a few of those, actually. Lots of royal-type things. Mrs. Lynn Plant, I think that is, from Newport. This is quite a good point, actually. My husband had an accident, and the Sunday Mirror picked it up and said he died when he actually hadn't. We had friends who got it and thought that he had actually died, so there's a fair point. And to end on a slightly lighter note, this is the final one. Thank you for this, Stuart, in Bath. He has a paper delivered every day. He says, I never read it, I just prop it up in front of me on the breakfast table so I don't have to look at my fiancé. There you are. Lovely. That's it.
Interesting idea. Gentleman in the back, you wanted to say something, I know. Good. Yeah.
I'd like to take issue with your voluntary regulations of the press. I think that any regulations, whether it comes from editors or from the government, is a bad thing. Because if I was to write, if you were to write something about me in the press, and I tried to get you on the privacy laws, you know, I've got no financial backing. I wouldn't get anywhere. Whereas if I wrote about you in the student press, you could completely lambast me and you know, take me to court or whatever. So you can see what the laws are there to protect. It's people like you rather than people like me. So I would take issue with any sort of privacy laws, wherever it comes from.
OK, fair point. So.
A point, David, and a question. I'd like to redress the arguments a little bit by saying this, that Sir Bernard Ingham is one of the most educated and informed press officers that we've ever had the privilege to have in the programme.
That's why he's dangerous.
We've ever had the privilege to have in the programme. He's highly respected amongst the press. He did a very good job. Sir, I'd like to ask you a question. In the time when you were press officer to Margaret Thatcher, and I will stick my neck out by saying I think she was the finest Prime Minister we've had I told you, the woman's place is in the home. I told you all that weeks ago. Can you tell me, do you think that there was character assassination of Margaret Thatcher, who was the finest Prime Minister we've known in 20, 30 years?
Well, there's always character assassination in the press. And you love it, you buy it. You love to see people being taken down a peg or two, having the boot put into them.
It's very British, though. We build them up and then we knock them down.
Look, I don't mind people taking...
11 years?
I don't mind people taking a rise out of me. I mean, the Independent... The Independent... Well, yes, of course, but it's perfectly all right. The Independent this morning said that I was, what was it, a poisoned mound of suet. Well, you know, it doesn't do me any harm, but it tells you a great deal about the newspaper.
What would you say about John Major, for example, issuing a writ against, or going to issue a writ against Scallywag for printing certain things in the magazine that he didn't like?
No, they weren't true, were they?
We're going to have to stop it there because we're sorry, but we do have a result on the vote. You remember we asked you to vote earlier about whether you think there should be more press controls. 73% of you said yes, we think there should be. So thank you for taking the trouble to vote. That is all we've got time for on this debate, I think. But let's give our guests here a round of applause. To Bernard Ingham and Eve Pollard. Thank you.
Do you think that prisons are little more than holiday camps without the kiddies treasure hunt and the knobbly knees competition? Do you think we're too soft on criminals? Now, if you can answer yes to one or both of these questions, then I'm sure you're going to be cheering on our soapboxer, Jerry Wrigley, as he holds court in part 2. So stay tuned.
back to Leighton Live. Now, do you think the punishment fits the crime in our country? Well, our soapboxer this evening, Jerry Wrigley, has his own views on what should be done with our criminals. Jerry, you've got 1 minute to go. Very best of luck. It starts now.
Thank you. I think it's a very sad state of affairs that in our prisons today, we've got a lot of very unfortunate people deprived of their home comforts for long periods of time. We unfairly expect them not to beat up old ladies, not to rob banks at gunpoint. The next time you perhaps hear of one of these events happening, stop thinking about the victims. Have a little pity for the poor old villain instead, a member of our society who's been hard done by. Then if you hear he's been caught, perhaps the namby-pambies amongst you would like to do some of his prison sentence for him. Prison can't be such a bad place when over 75% of our prisoners go back time and time again. That's an awful lot of people. Home Office figures, 75%. Perhaps it's because we're treating them too gently. Maybe that's why these morons decide that they can ruin our lives on a daily basis. So what about bringing back some real old-fashioned values? Go back to basics, as Mr. Major says, and help society get its own back on this minority of people. Let's stop the rot now. Flog them, brand them, take away the TVs, their comfortable bunks, billiard tables and warm showers, replace them with hard labour, shackles the birch and stone floors, and just see how dedicated they are when they come back for a second visit.
Thank you. Okay. Right. I'm almost scared to stand next to him after that. OK. Anyone agree? I mean, quite a few of you were clapping in agreement there, actually. Who kind of agrees? Well, let's put your hand up if you agree with what he said. Yeah. Let's go to some people who agree. Gentleman at the back there, what do you think about it? Why do you agree with him?
It's just a bit too easy. A lot of people go in there and they learn more about crime when they come out.
Right.
They have TVs. A lot of people don't have a TV at all. Everybody thinks you should have, but people don't. They go to prison, they get TV.
Gentleman at the back there as well, sir. Yeah, what do you think?
I'm with the group Justice for Victims, who campaign regularly for victims of violent crime. The perpetrators of these crimes, who are getting a very easy time inside the prisons, and there are, I think, 42 institutions bleating for them to make things easier, need to see these people. They need to come with us and see these people and just see the suffering that these people take.
OK, lady here, yeah, in the green top. Yeah, what do you think?
I mean, everyone says about English prisons being easy, and they are. A friend of mine's got a brother in Morocco. They get one blanket, and everyone thinks, oh, Morocco's a nice hot country. It's not at night. They don't get any meat. He's in a prison near a fishing port. They have one sardine a week if they're lucky. A friend of his took the back off his radio, and out comes some cockroaches. So for an hour they had entertainment jumping on cockroaches. There's no taps. There's a bucket to pee in. Well, there is a tap, tell a lie, with cold water, and that's your shower and your washing and everything. And there's about 30 people in a tiny little room with just a little blanket.
Do you think we should do that here?
Yeah. I tell you now, once he comes out, he'd never reoffend again.
All right, gentleman on the front.
I think that, of course, people commit crimes to varying degrees, and I think they should be punished accordingly. Obviously, they're watching television videos, everything else, and they haven't got any problems with financial or anything. OK. And they reoffend as
you don't think prison is about kind of reforming people and helping them to go back into society?
It's about training them for future crime, basically. What have they got to do in there all day? They wake up in the morning, they have their ablutions and bits and pieces, have their porridge for breakfast, and then what do? They talk the whole day. They haven't got enough to do. They need some hard labour. They need something to achieve. They've got to go out and do some old repairs on old ladies' houses.
OK, let's get some. Gentleman up there, yes, sir.
Yeah, it was interesting to hear you say about how 75% of prisoners, when they come back out into the community, end up going back to prison. Now, I would argue that is one of the main points is because they've not been shown or helped to sort of be rehabilitated into society.
Right.
You were talking about the so-called sort of sharp shock treatment. It's been tried before and it's been proved not to work.
That's a good point. It's good. Again, I mean, if he's saying really that actually, you know, if you have prisons like that, people, they're not being helped, so they're just going to keep going back.
I wasn't helped. I'm in society. I'm not going around banging on old ladies over the head or robbing banks at gunpoint, and nobody's helped me. Who helps the prisoners? You get an old lady who's... No, you hang on a minute. I was robbed. I was burgled 5 times. I was not given any information by the police. On the 5th occasion, the police interviewed me in case I was trying to do the purchase.
Let's get some more points. Let's get some more points. Gentleman here, sir.
I think the innocent prisoner has been wrongly committed.
Well, there are very few of them.
There are the police are corrupt.
There are very few of
criminals as
them.
well.
Not that many. There aren't that many. I don't think there's enough to warrant it.
All right, lady behind, yeah.
In the Jamie Bolger case, the 2 boys that were arrested for that, if you believe the press, they said they had a better time because they had things in prison they couldn't afford at home. That's right. And they looked after them.
All right, gentleman here, sir. Yeah, yeah.
As I say, one thing we do, I mean, we're not hard enough on criminals. We do need to punish them more. Because, I mean, if you look at what it costs to keep a prisoner in prison for a week, and then look what we pay a couple of old-age pensioners for them to survive a week, you know, in the middle of an English winter. I mean, you know, what sort of society have we got? Where are our priorities?
All right, gentleman next to you.
Yeah, I think basically when they go in, they should start off with absolutely nothing. If they want something, they should then earn it by proving that they are going to reform.
All right, lady at the back, yeah.
If we're going to punish criminals, and I believe we should, shouldn't it be dependent on the crime?
Absolutely,
I mean,
yeah.
there are certain one-parent families in this country who get sent to jail for not being able to pay their TV licence.
No, they're not
Surely they
criminals.
then
No.
shouldn't have to suffer that,
They're not
although the
criminals.
hardened criminals should.
All right, gentleman second row back, yes, sir.
Absolutely dead right. There's no deterrent. You go to Bristol Magistrates Court any day of the week. There's about 8 courts in there. There's people wondering about it. They haven't got a care in the world. You see them talking to each other. Oh, are you going in yet? No. Well, I've only done burglary, or I've only committed assault, or whatever. The American system works better. This lady down here was saying only 6% of offenders re-offend.
Most of them don't get out.
I don't know where she gets those figures from. They don't sound too... They don't sound too...
Military correction.
All right, gentleman,
She's correct.
in the third row back, sir.
Some figures that haven't been mentioned, 25% of people who are actually in prison today are in prison awaiting trial, that they're in there while they're on bail, so they haven't been proved guilty of committing any crime whatsoever. Another high proportion of people that are in prison are people who are in prison that actually should be in mental hospitals, but of course there are no mental hospitals because these are big closed down hospitals, and that they're not getting the treatment they actually need.
Well, they will have to leave it because we're out of time, so let's have a round of applause for our soapboxer. Thank you, well done. Thank you. And, OK, time for some music now. Our very own songster Tony Cole has got a song all about this, I suspect. Tony.
Thank you very much, Dave. A frail octogenarian went walking one day in the underpass where muggers lurk. This place was a scary one where you don't delay in case you get knifed in the murk. One mugger leaped out, thinking he'd have some fun, grabbed her bag with a grin, cheek to cheek. Then from under her cardie she pulled a shotgun and blasted him into next week. Blood, blood, I'm out for blood. No longer will victims be dragged through the mud. I don't stand no nonsense, I'm a fan of Charles Bronson's, whose favourite response is to spill someone's blood. Then it dawned on the muggers that this granny had clout. She'd an army of friends close at hand. Then the muggers cried bugger that and were off with a shout. Didn't dare mess with Gladys's band. These avenging old ladies, they ran through the town, for the victims had turned on their foes. And burglars got burgled and thieves had stuff nicked as the grannies sang an anthem that goes, oh glad, glad, we're all with glad. We are delighted that she got so mad. No more will we follow politicians who talk follow. No more lies will we swallow, instead we'll trust glad. Of course their activities caught the eye of the law, who immediately told them to stop. Your rebellious proclivities are becoming a bore. Please desist, or it's you we will cop. 'Twas thus that the Gladysites got locked up in the nick with a TV and 3 meals a day. But they were still quite united and also delighted that their heating bills others would pay. Oh, glad, glad, we're all with glad. Life here in prison, it isn't half bad. With friends we are rooming, our social life's blooming. Thank God for Judge Tumim and our leader Glad.
Thank you, Tony. Another corker. So, vigilante pensioners, you think that's the way forward?
I think that could be the trick. I want to put the auntie into vigilante.
So we can expect you in a few years' time, when you get your bus pass, to be filing that bus pass holder to a knife edge, yes.
Sharpening the Zimmer frame.
He'll be mad, bad, old and dangerous to know. Thanks, Tony.
Thanks a lot. Cheers.
Now, after the break, we'll be talking to our hot seat guest. He'd become one of the most popular faces on TV when booze got hold of him. Join us again in a few minutes to hear how Keith Chegwin faced up to losing his wife, his family and almost his career.
Thank you. Welcome back to Late and Live. Well, our guest in the hot seat used to stay in bed as long as he could, getting up only to top up his alcohol levels. Now he's up at 4:30 each morning, ready to appear on The Big Breakfast. He's Keith Chegwin, and we're delighted he's with us tonight. Keith, welcome.
Cheers. Thank you.
Can we kind of... The alcohol stuff has like been in the press, so I thought we'd just start with that and kind of get it out of the way, really.
I know.
Because you've talked very honestly and openly about it in your book and on television as well. Why do you think you got into that situation? How did it start for you?
Oh, gosh. Well, a lot of people try and explain it like, you know, I mean, I've been into 4 clinics and I've had counselling or what have you, and they always try and sort of like pin it on your childhood or, you know, something that happened during your showbiz career or the pressures of show business. But for me, I just got on this little hamster wheel and couldn't get off. I mean, in the early days, I'd sort of like everybody else, you know, go out and have a lager and what have you. But for me, drinking, I always used to have that little extra, you know, sort of like 4 cans of lager wasn't enough, I always topped it up to 6. And then after years and years of doing that, then I slowly sort of progressed into drinking like half a bottle a day, and then it became a full bottle and eventually ended up with 2 bottles.
Why?
So
Just like because of the pressure of everything?
No, you see, that's an easy excuse to
Right.
use, you know, because, I mean, I could have sort of like poo-pooed the whole thing with the press by saying, oh, yeah, pressure's a show business, led me to go into a clinic, it was stress and everything else, but it wasn't. It was just, I've got this sort of, I feel like this addictive personality, and booze got hold of me and just wouldn't let go.
What was the lowest point?
Ooh, there were so many. I think the lowest point for me was lying in a double bed when everybody else had disappeared, and the only thing I could see from a double bed was sort of the skyline, and it used to just go from sort of like light to dark, from dark to light, and all I would do is either get out to my bed to go and buy booze or have a bottle of booze by my bed and just drink till I blacked out. And I was lying there in my own vomit, and I didn't sort of like bother washing. I was lying in my own urine, and I just didn't care.
You just
know?
really got to...
Oh, yeah,
just
you know,
the real pits,
yeah, just didn't give a toss.
Well, were your showbiz buddies around to help, or did they give up on you at that point as well? Or did
I
you just
never really
shut
had
them
any
out?
showbiz buddies, but,
Right.
you know, a lot of people, when I sort of like, you know, came out with it and said, look, I'm an alcoholic, a lot of people did disappear off the scene in case maybe they got a name check or what have you, but that's been good for me as well, because
Right.
now I've got like yeah, good people. Yeah, good, real, genuine mates. You know, ones that I hadn't heard of for about 4 or 5 years that actually came back and sort of helped me out.
Brilliant.
You know.
I'm sure there's loads of questions from
Hey.
the 100
Oh,
about that
gosh.
and the Big Breakfast and everything else. Lady on the front row first, yeah.
I heard that it's very often runs in a family. Was your father that way, or your mother had a
No,
problem?
I mean, you know, I've heard this, like, you know, it's either genetic or it's something, you know, that comes from the rest of your family.
Yeah,
but no, there doesn't seem to be a line of it, you know.
No, it's a very bad thing, though, isn't it? People, it's an illness, and people don't realise this.
Yeah,
and they
that's-
take the mickey out of alcoholics, but really, it's a terrible illness. And I find alcoholics are the very nicest people underneath.
I agree.
After experience.
No, but I know what you mean.
Gentlemen on the end there, sir.
Do you think it was made easier because you weren't skint?
Yes, it was. I mean, you know, with the circle of friends that I've made, I found out I was a champagne drunk. You know, I used to drink whiskey or what have you. But yeah, the money was there for a certain period of time, definitely. So that was, I mean, I was able to sort of pay for my addiction. You know, I'd spend sort of like 150, 200 pounds a week, you know. I mean, yes, I would flinch. I got to flinch eventually. But yes, definitely, you know, having money around did make it easier for me to drink. And also, being who I was made it easier for me to drink.
Yeah, do you
because
think
Keith
that's a warning?
Chegwin, you know, would go
Do you
to a
think-
champagne reception and, you know...
Do you think that's a warning to other people who may find themselves in the same position? So just keep a check.
Yeah, maybe, yeah. I mean, I don't sort of like, I never sort of tell people about, you know, what they should do or what. I'm not a reformed alcoholic, so to say, you know.
Gentleman there, sir.
Keith, on a more serious note, where are my bloody roller skates that you got for the skate?
Did I try and swap them for you?
Lady in the front row, yeah. Hi.
There's probably a lot of people in the audience that think that it's rather sad that you didn't realise before you lost your wife and your child that you hadn't sort of, you know, reformed then. But sometimes I think that people have to get that low. They have to lose everything before they can pick themselves up. Do you think that yourself?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's very true. You know, I mean, there was a stage where, I mean, I just didn't care. You know, I didn't care whether I lost my marriage, my home, my work, or what have you. I mean, I used to sort of like turn down work because I loved the bottle more. You know, if a job came in or something, I'd think, oh God, I can't do that. How am I going to drink?
It's a very selfish illness.
Oh yeah, definitely. But if I was forced, really forced to go work, then I had to make sort of preparations for that as well. You know, so I mean, I went into clinics and I, you know, sort of like went in sort of like going into prison like a petty thief and came out, you know, bank robber really, because I learned to substitute booze with something else, you know, other chemicals.
Gentlemen, drugs you mean? Goodness me.
Yeah. Well, no, it was things like Listerine, Plaques, cough mixture. I mean, they didn't sort of like replace the booze, but what they would do is subdue the sort of symptoms that you went through when you were sort of like withdrawing from alcohol.
And you have very clean teeth, obviously.
Yeah, exactly.
Gentlemen here, sir. Well, yeah, go on.
Yes. Do you find that there's any effective substitute for alcohol, like chamomile tea and honey, or Cuban cigars, or cold milk?
They're laughing because somebody said sex.
I'm laughing at the chamomile tea, actually, but still.
I mean, it's very difficult to talk about substitutes because, like, I went on to various sorts of drugs to wean me off the booze, which were substitutes for alcohol. But basically, what substitutes did for me, they brought me back to what they call the drug of your choice, which is eventually alcohol. So nowadays, I don't sort of like, I don't sort of go for any substitutes or anything close to it. You know, I really, even if I go out for an evening meal and they've cooked coq au vin, I won't touch it.
Right.
You know, I'll keep away from.
Gentleman next to you, sir. Yeah.
On the basis, Keith, that no man is an island, and you touched upon this earlier on, what is amazing to me, and I suspect a lot of people here, is that you can remain isolated in this situation, which is worsening in full view of your family and friends, and nobody says anything or catches hold of you and says,
Go on. They do, though.
They do?
You know, oh, yeah, they do. I mean, but the problem is that everybody always thinks about the poor old alcoholic. Oh, yeah, poor old Cheggers, look at him. He's on the kitchen floor covered in his own vomit. Nobody ever thinks about the other side of the family. They suffer as well.
Oh, sure.
You know, they have to go through a lot. Yeah. But the problem with the alcoholic is that they're just engrossed by the whole thing. They think nothing else. They don't care about anything else. All they think about is the next drink.
Right, OK.
You know?
Gentleman next, sir. Yeah.
Hiya, Keith. Have
Hiya.
you managed to patch things up with Sarah Green and Mike Smith?
Do you know, we knocked on that guy, so we went to Mike Smith's house and we never got in. But I still to this day don't know whether he was in or out. But the bizarre thing is that weeks later, Sarah Green was on Surprise, Surprise, knocking on people's door. And he put up all this fuss about us knocking on his door. You know, what seems to be all right for one person is not for the next. So I don't know. But, I mean, you know, he sent me a Christmas card, so it's all made up, I think.
Oh,
Great.
Big Breakfast has obviously been enormously successful. We were talking about privacy laws earlier, but how do you feel about knocking on complete strangers' doors? And you just barged straight in.
Well, I do. I have to admit, I mean, I used to find television really nerve-wracking, you know. I used to worry about the red light coming on the camera, but I find it more nervous knocking on people's doors now. But it's difficult. I can't make excuses for it by saying I'm not Roger Cook. You know, I don't pry into people's lives. I don't knock on their door and go through the knicker drawer. To be honest with you, the one thing I do not do is, you know, when people answer the door in their dressing gown, I mean, like any comic can think of 5 gags. I don't do it because it's not worth it. But, you know, I think hopefully, the impression that we try and give is that we're there for a bit of fun. You know, either we're giving 200,000 quid away or somebody's coming out to take part in a competition, you know. And if people won't do it, I never push them.
Really?
You know? Oh, no, never.
Right.
In fact, you know, when I've knocked on somebody's door and I say, see you later on, and the reason I do it so quickly is because what I do is I say, are you sure about this? Do you want to do it? Are you happy? You know, and
do you get pushed by the producer, though? You know,
no,
they're pretty good.
No, they are pretty good. In the early days, when we were sort of young and keen, there was that bit of pressure. But I think, you know, now I've been on it for 16 months, I've got my own sort of way. So,
OK. More questions. Lady on the front row, yeah.
Yeah, just on this note about privacy legislation, though, what do you think about the fact that the way it's being discussed at the moment is that there is a possibility it will be outlawed, you know, your right to go and knock on people's doors?
Fair enough. If that's what people want, fine.
OK. I'm sure they'll think of something else on the Big Breakfast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you find that, you know, when you were going into problems with alcohol, etc., was it because you always were expected to be the clown, you know, the fun guy on the surface, and nobody really got to know the real Keith Chegwin underneath?
I think you probably, yeah, there's a point there. I mean, I always thought alcohol sort of like, you know, made me funnier and, you know, gave people a bit of a laugh and gave me that edge. But even that too sort of failed me eventually because, like, you know, I used to have a drink. Well, I used to drink all the time, but, you know, the disappointing times were, you know, I had to go and do a weekend at Torquay, and it was like, you know, Checkers weekend, you know, bring the kids. And I arrived. It's comical to, looking back at it now, but, you know, I went on stage that sort of Friday, for my first Friday night, and embarrassed myself in front of the audience by talking to everybody backstage. And my appearance was only about 15 minutes then. Then in the evening, I went on for the cabaret, and it wasn't any entertainment. You know, I started off by falling in the drum kit, which everybody laughed at. But then suddenly they realised there was something a bit more serious to this. So I felt a little bit disappointed for about 10 minutes after that. But then I just went back to drinking.
Is there a kind of a darker side? I mean, there's a darker side to all of us, but I mean, the image of Keith Chegwin is always happy and smiling. I mean,
oh yeah,
is that you or isn't that you really?
This is me now.
Yeah,
you know,
right.
but I have to admit, you know, when I was doing things like Checkers Place, Pop and Swap Shop, yeah, there was definitely a certain amount of, you know, this is the way I've got to do it, you know. And I was moulded and manipulated in a way. I mean, nobody go on a television show in a pair of flares with a gold glitter stripe down the side, an alarm Jack and go, hey! You know, I was Britain's biggest prat, you know. So, but I mean, hopefully, you know, I'm not manipulated anymore. I try and do what I want, you know, or, you know, I request to.
OK, Fenella's got some cards from home. Let's see what questions you've got for Keith. Fenella.
I have, thanks, Dave. Keith, I hope you can feel the warm vibe that's filtering down from these phones, because we are having hundreds of supportive calls. It's really lovely, actually. I've got 2 comments and 2 questions, which we've had to sort of filter out. Isabel from Patchway. Keith is to be admired for speaking out about his alcohol addiction. He hit rock bottom and has proved it is possible to recover from it.
Oh, thank
and
you.
Here is one for all you network producers out there. From Morrison Rogers in Keynsham. He's a Big Breakfast viewer, and he thinks it's about time Keith had his own show. So no. Right. And where are we?
It's difficult, that one, you know, because, like, I was motivated years ago by, you know, I mean, I don't know whether people know, but by fame and fortune. And, like, you know, I did all those showbiz things. Like, I had a big house and 5 cars and a nanny, a housekeeper, a groom, 2 gardeners, you know, the full bit. And, like, you know, it would be great to have my own show, but I'm not motivated by that anymore. Do you know what I mean?
Been through it.
So, but thanks for the kind words.
Yeah.
I'm happy where I am.
Good, that's what we
Great.
like to hear. Oh, where were we? I've got a couple of questions, actually. Ralph from Bristol. How do you keep being so cheerful every morning on the Big Breakfast? Because it is early, isn't it? Let's face it.
I don't know. I go to bed at 9 o'clock at night. I'm a real boring fart. And I have my good 7.5 hours kept, and I wake up at 4:30 and off I go, you know.
Yeah,
so.
Excellent. And finally, this is Andy from Bristol. He was an alcoholic himself, and he wants to know if you attend any AA meetings.
Yeah, I do, actually. Yeah. I mean, as I say, I'm not a reformed alcoholic. You know, I don't sort of, like, go around, you know, singing the praises of, like, you know, life without a drink will give you fame, fortune, repair a marriage or what have you. But I do believe that there are not just AA, but there are other organisations around and other people willing to help you. But I found a lot of good friends there and a lot of sort of useful advice and tips. So, yeah, good on him.
Great, thanks.
Thanks, Fenella. OK, let's get some more questions. Front, sir, yeah.
Right. I like a drink myself, actually. At what point in your life did you actually realise you were alcoholic?
When I tried to stop.
Yeah, but I mean...
No, but let me explain that, because... Like,
after 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, or what?
No, I used to just keep drinking, you know, but...
What, constantly?
Yeah. No, what happened is that I'd sort of get to a stage where I thought, yeah, I needed that extra drink to get me to sleep, and then I began to rely on that.
At what time in the day did it start? Did it start at 9, 10?
Well, no, it's a slow progression.
No. There's a lot. There's been a lot in the press recently about alcoholism. Excuse me.
That's a tough one, isn't it?
It's
the worst.
No, happened to have this conversation at work with a couple of girls at work, and they reckon the press is taking it too far. When you get up in the morning, if you eat for a drink, they reckon you're alcoholic. Now, the press is saying if you drink 6, 7 on a night time, you're alcoholic. So I'm posing the question to you.
No, I know
at
what you mean.
what time in your life did you realise you were actually an alcoholic?
Yeah, I mean, as
It's a
I
hard
said just a minute
question.
ago, is that, I mean, I drank all the time, you know, 3 o'clock in the morning, 8 o'clock in the morning, 12 o'clock at night, whenever.
So you actually literally reach for a drink early in the morning?
Oh, yes. I mean, I would hide drink and, you know, deceive people to get drink or what have you. But I was trying to explain that I knew or thought I had a problem when I tried to stop and I couldn't. Because, like, you know, I'd stop for a short period of time and then I'd start to shake, have panic attacks, I'd have dry vomiting or what have you. And the only way to relieve those symptoms for me was to actually go back to the bottle to start drinking again.
Right, OK,
You know, but can I also say is that, you know, just because somebody drinks a bit more than the average, I don't necessarily think it means they're an alcoholic.
The media
Sure.
You know, I mean, people can drink and it's great.
Right, you certainly won't get drunk on HTV hospitality, was it? Wasn't there a bit of kind of a period where you went through quite a bit of kind of paranoia as well because of the alcohol?
Oh, total insanity. You
I
know,
mean, you kind of hid microphones in
oh
cameras
yeah,
and all sorts of
I
stuff.
mean, I had this sort of weird thing that happened to me that I thought everybody was talking about me, so I bugged my entire house. I mean, not just like the living room, but I bugged every room so I could tune in to see what people were saying about me, hear what people were saying about me. I actually put a camera outside my studio so I could sort of see people toing and froing, and then if I went out for 3 hours, I'd leave the video recorder going so I could see who'd been and gone. And it was just total paranoia.
Okay, let's end on a more happy note. Any questions about the big breakfast for Keith? Yeah, over here. Yeah, lady here. Very quickly, because we're almost out of
Keith,
time.
I've got to tell you, really niggled me, really get me. But my children love you, so I watch it. but my daughter said, I've got to ask you, what's happened to the singing?
The singing? Yeah. Oh, gosh, that died years ago.
You have a lovely voice.
She's a bit behind there, obviously.
But, yeah.
Listen, we're almost out of time. It's been great to have you with us, Keith. A big round of applause. Keith Jagger, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay, thank you very much.
We have to take a break now. Coming up in part 4, we'll be debating religious cults with 2 members of the family, formerly known as the Children of God, and a minister from Christian Rescue. But to play us out of part 3, with first of 2 songs this evening, are the completely fab and groovy Total Control with Best Years of Our Lives.
Ask you these questions, please tell me no lies, 'cause all of the time you're just full of surprise. Please tell me if all this is true, 'cause deep down inside all I wanted was you. Oh, makes you want to dance. Oh, yeah, see romance. Oh, I look into your eyes. Oh, yeah, best years of our life. Here we go. When we first met, I could hardly believe the things that would happen that we would achieve. So let's stay together for all of the time, and thank my good fortune that you are so mine. Oh, makes you want to dance. Oh, yeah, listen to romance. Oh, I look into your eyes. Oh, yeah, best is my life.
Sale Extra.
Are offering a Hello. Hello there, welcome back. Now, flirty fishing, New Age magazines, Lonely Hearts advertisements, loving everybody. Sounds good to me, but then I'm tragic. But beware, these are all possible means of recruiting. And do you really want to be recruited? We're talking about religion here. And while most of us understand that word religion, and many of us have some religious faith, We do ask questions of any religion which suggests it might be a cult.
So, what is a cult and what does it imply? Well, to answer our questions, we have with us the British leaders of the family, once known as Children of God. They are Gideon and Rachel Scott, and with a different Christian perspective, someone who knows the facts behind a number of cults, the Reverend John Celia, National Director of Christian Rescue. As the name implies, this is an organisation which has been involved in helping the young and vulnerable, as well as families, to escape from so-called cult clutches. Welcome to all of you. Some people have described your organisation as one of the most dangerous cults in the world. You may not describe yourself as a cult at all. What are your basic beliefs?
Our basic beliefs, in actual fact, would be virtually the same as John. We believe that Jesus Christ was the Son of God. He came into this world to save us from our sins, that if we simply receive him with a short prayer as our Saviour, we can go to heaven. It's a basic Christian message, the same one that the Church of England, the Roman Catholics, most major denominations would also endorse.
The only difference maybe is that in some of the early literature from your founder and from your organisation, it promoted sexual activity that some people might not think was quite normal. For example, the term hookers for Christ was used, where part of the recruitment was to go out and offer sex to people to bring them into the church. I mean,
no, that's not really an accurate representation of what happened.
Look, there's literature I saw.
Yes,
certainly
I
looked
know,
like
but
that.
it was certainly not to recruit anybody. We feel that sex is a need created by God. It is a need that needs to be fulfilled in the vast majority of people. It's also a way of showing love, and we tried to have all our relationships with people to be loving, whether they were sexual or otherwise. We didn't compartmentalise our sexual relationships away from our other relationships with people. That's what it was.
OK, all that sounds in some ways fairly straightforward. What's wrong with that? What's wrong with our organisation?
Well, I think that the problem was, back in the Children of God days especially, was that when you have a group that becomes very exclusive and starts to cut itself off from the world, obviously a lot of stories abound. And when you have groups which promote sexual activities between young children and even look at sexual activities as being a new revelation from God of how to spread the love of God, it runs into a lot of serious problems, especially when you start applying the basic Christian premises to it.
Were you promoting sexual relationships between young children?
No, we certainly weren't. I think this is something that the press get hold of and love to promote. There was a very interesting discussion earlier on in your programme about the way press treat people. And we feel that we've been very, very badly misrepresented in the press. We have the same problem. You get something like a raid on one of our communities, that is everywhere. We had, for example, 296 articles about how our children were taken away, and when they were returned and no abuse was found whatsoever, there was about this much in 2 newspapers.
Right.
And that isn't fair, and this is what's going on. And unfortunately, when you call a group like ours a cult, immediately people imagine brainwashing, people being dragged in off the streets. We have a very, very straightforward policy that if anybody wants to join, they have to wait 6 months, really count the cost. We paint a very black picture of it because it means a lot of dedication before they can join.
Just before we go to the 100, wouldn't some people suggest that the organisation that you represent is almost a cult? You're not even a proper vicar, are you, really?
Yes, I am.
Where were you ordained?
Minister. Yes, I'm ordained minister by
who?
the auxiliary church attached to the charity that we actually run.
What's that church called?
It's called the Christian Rescue Service.
Right.
It's just like a hospital has an auxiliary church in a hospital or a prison.
It's not a recognised large Christian organisation that you're a vicar for?
It's recognised by the government, yes.
Is it? Right, OK. Well, we've got some questions and points about this. Sir, gentleman on the front row.
If you're not a cult, what exactly do you call yourselves, and how is your organisation financed? Do people spend lots of money to join your cult?
Anybody who wishes to join our group full-time, which is one of the reasons why we have a 6-month waiting period, we use the same standards as Jesus used for his own disciples. And he said, if you don't forsake everything you have, then you're not worthy to be a disciple. It's a huge commitment. It's the same commitment as somebody who wanted to join a Roman Catholic monastery would have to make. This is why we require such a very definite period of 6 months before somebody makes that commitment.
Lots of cults are accused of recruiting people.
Yes.
I mean, do you recruit people in whatever form, and how do you do that?
No, we don't recruit people.
They just come to you?
That's right. Our aim is that people can personally know God's love in their own lives and thereby be able to share love more with other people.
So you don't go
we're not trying to get people to join our group at all.
OK, gentleman on the very end, so yeah, go
So people come to you, and after 6 months, they give you all their worldly goods, all their money. Whose name's on the checkbook, and who runs the accounts? Can anybody go in and have a look at your accounts? Is it fully open? On the subject of cults, we've got the Mormons, the Jehovah's Witnesses, and lots of others. They're also cults.
Who says they're cults?
Well, they're not recognised as being religious organisations.
The Mormons have got 9 million members around the world.
But then
they're
huge. They're still a cult. They're
cult.
still not recognised worldwide as being a religion. And
they
nor
are
you.
recognised in every major country in the West as a religion.
What gives you the right to call yourself religious? You know, just because you say you believe in God. They are cults.
I don't call myself religious. I don't call myself religious.
But you call yourself a religion.
I don't. I call myself a Christian. And that's all there is to it.
All right.
We're not a religion. We're just Christian.
Gentleman here, sir.
I have a question for each of the parties. First of all, John, is it the fact that people are interested in alternative religions because Orthodox religion has seemed to have failed? So, I mean, just because they don't believe in you doesn't stop people believing. And a question for Gideon is, I understand the need to give up all worldly goods, but why do they have to give them to you? Why can't they prove they give them to somebody else for other charity?
Well, let John answer that question. Let's do this first. John
well,
first.
Firstly, yes, I would agree. I've been talking with a lot of the big church leaders, such as the C of E and the Roman Catholic, and saying, look, you're not giving a positive message anymore. You're not doing the thing that you were set up to do. You were there to look after the spiritual and moral welfare of the people, not get into politics, not get into the social issues, not be on the poll tax marches and things like that. And when people have problems, when people do need answers, they're turning to the church, and the church are not giving those answers.
Okay.
So they are turning to the alternative.
All right. You run as a commune, don't you, as such?
That's exactly right,
I mean,
yeah.
perhaps that answers that question, but I mean, why should all the money come to you, he's saying?
Well, it doesn't come to us.
Right.
Each of our communities has an elected teamwork, elected by all the members of that community. One of those persons will be elected as the treasurer or the businessman of that community. He runs the finances. He provides reports to everybody in the group on a weekly basis. Everybody knows where the money's going. We are very open. As a private group, we are not registered as a charity. As a private group, we do not have to open our books up to anybody else any more than a private individual would have to.
Does anybody have but does anyone have a problem with that? Because surely if this is a group who want to get together, worship in a certain way, it's not up to anything. They're not breaking the law. They're not, lady here, yeah.
Can you explain to me why so many different cults have had mass suicides? I mean, to me, you live, right, to worship God, OK? You don't, or you shouldn't be, killing yourself. At the end of the day, that's not, a thing to do if you
OK, let's ask them, what do you think of the David Koreshes of this?
Well, this is the sort of generalisation we're fighting against all the time. Say so many cults have mass suicides. Well, did they fall? Were they pushed? We look at Waco. Did they commit suicide? Did most of them die at the hands of the American government? We look at the Solar Temple. Did they commit suicide? Were some of them murdered by corrupt leaders? We don't know the answers to these things. But I can tell you something. Our group does not believe in violence of any kind.
That's right.
We believe that the taking of any life is wrong, including your own. We share this in common with any other Christian.
Hasn't it been suggested, though, in some of the material I've read about your group, but not your specific group, but your organisation, that some people were kind of given large sticks and bats and things to hit teenagers with who were at hand?
No, that's not true at all. As Christians, again, we believe that discipline is important in a child's life. But we believe in loving discipline, certainly not bats and sticks to hit people with.
I mean, we've had a picture painted of this organisation by a guest here as being fairly reasonable, from what I can hear what they're saying. Are you saying this isn't what it's like? Are you saying there's something more sinister happening here?
I'm saying, when it's brought up, the gentleman over there talked about cults. I think let's get a definition of what a cult is and what we understand by that. If we're looking at a religious group that is producing harm or causing harm to people, I think that's a really basic thing.
Doesn't that cover all religious good? Don't born-again Christians do that? Don't, either end of the scale?
Usually, when, say, one of the mainstream churches is doing that, it's usually someone abusing their position inside the church. But what we're looking at here is groups that are producing victims, if you like, without having to do anything outside what they would normally do.
I'll take the distinction there. Let's get some more points. Someone hasn't spoken. Gentleman at the back, sir.
Yeah, just like to say, I mean, as people, aren't we free to make our own decisions? So if somebody wants to join one of these so-say cults, They should be able to, and if they want to give them all the money, that's up to them. People are free to make their own decisions and, you know, do what they want to do.
Isn't that a fair point?
If that's an informed decision, and if at the end of the day, if you find you made a mistake, you can walk away from it. In most of these cults, you can't do that.
Well, why not?
But because they won't let you.
If I did something and I decided afterwards that it was wrong, I know I could walk away from it.
Definitely.
Why do people have this problem not being able to turn away?
Well, hang on, you wanted to go on.
Yeah. At the present time, we have approximately 3,000 adult members in our group. Over the past 25 years, we've had 35,000 adults pass through our doors at one end and out at the other. We make it very, very easy for people to leave. And I do agree with you that people must make their own decisions, adults must make their own decisions, stand by those decisions, and it is not anybody else's business as long as they're not hurting anybody else or breaking the law.
All right. Lady here, yeah.
I just want to know, as a Christian, I mean, why should I be drawn to you as opposed to the Anglican, the Methodist, or any other denomination? I mean, you keep saying that you have the same Christian values as everybody else, but why are you so separate to the rest of the community?
Good question. Oh, can I answer that one?
Yeah, please do.
We aren't separate to the rest of the community. We have chosen to live as in the Book of Acts and to share our belongings, but we go out every day. And people love to talk about the controversial angles. We're distributing hundreds of tons of aid in Siberia. We're doing programs and helping people in Bosnia and Croatia. Nobody wants to know about that.
I don't want to know about
but
all
what
your
I'm
publicity.
saying is,
I just want to know what makes you different, or what makes me as a Christian drawn to you. What can
only
you give
if God
me?
calls you to do it. We're not trying to convince you to join our community. We're not trying to convince anybody to join our community. What we want to do is
What
tell
makes
people about
join them? You
Jesus.
still haven't explained. You've been on there for 20
Can
minutes
I tell you
now.
why
You
I
still haven't
joined?
explained.
I'll tell you why I joined. I was a Salvation Army bandsman. And I found that the level of commitment of doing that was not what I wanted. I visited a friend of mine who joined a Christian community. I found a group of young people who were living the Book of Acts from the New Testament. They shared everything they had together. They devoted themselves 100% to preaching the gospel, and they believed that God would supply all their needs. My wife and I have been doing this for 25 years. We've travelled all over the world. My wife's expecting our 12th child. God, way to go, mate. God has never failed to supply every one of our needs.
What about the Mo Letters? This was a book that was written by the founder of the organisation. You treat that as holy as the actual Bible, yeah?
No, we don't.
OK.
The Mo Letters...
Hold on, everybody, please.
The book, the letters that were written to us by our founder who died last year are, I would say, on a par with many of the epistles of Paul. They are letters of advice. They are letters of counsel to our different communities around the world.
So let's just back up your beliefs, yeah? Right, gentleman at the back, sir.
I'd like to ask you a response to bans on campus. Across the country, a lot of student unions and a lot of halls of residences have banned groups, certain groups, not just Christian groups, political groups as well, from going around canvassing students. I mean, do you think students need to be protected, or...? Obviously you don't, but what's your response?
I don't really think students need to be protected, but as Christians we believe it is our duty to obey the laws, and if there is a ban in a campus or in a particular area, we won't go there. You can meet people anywhere, but we're not trying to drag people in and join us and come to all our meetings or anything like that. We just want people to love one another more.
Yeah, but why don't you break the law?
Because
I would.
The Bible tells us not to break the law.
All right, let me go, gentleman on the very end there, sir, at the back, yeah.
On the face of it, you appear to be very orthodox in your views, but I had a daughter who went into a cult, the Central London Church of Christ, who appeared the same as you on the face of it. I agree with you that through Jesus we receive salvation, but my daughter went into this cult, she got mind control, she ended up a person we didn't know, a person with glazed eyes, who came home, who recited one thing after another. Since then, we did manage to get her out with a lot of difficulty and with the Lord's help. But I also attended a guy in Barragurney Hospital who was going to be a solicitor, and a cult take him away, the same cult, took him away from that with the face of it that you were presenting tonight. But behind that, that guy was indoctrinated with what they said to him. I ended up in a mental hospital. 2 years to get out of that.
It's a very good point, isn't it? I mean, how do people know how to trust a religious organisation like yours or indeed any others when we do hear these stories? And they're true, we know they happen.
I can't answer for the Central London Church of Christ or the Church of Christ or any other group other than our own. That's the one I'm a member of, that's the one I represent. we, as we said...
But why have some people dubbed yours as one of the most dangerous in the world? If you are so wonderful, you know, the picture that you've painted tonight is a picture of we're lovely, we don't, you know, nobody's forced. Why have you got this reputation? It can't just be the press, surely.
The original founder of our religion went around doing good. He did nothing but love people. And the religious establishment of his day assassinated him. Now, I'm talking about Jesus.
Right.
There was a man who was perfect. The Bible says he was without guile, and the religious establishment of his day had him killed by the Romans.
What is wrong with this organisation? What is wrong with it?
Well, I think like a lot of other organisations, I mean, this one in particular, has got a very, very kind of checkered past. In fact, a past that we could bring into question from a lot of its literature. And if it has indeed reformed, and it is indeed, and I've said this to you before, it's going to take a lot of time and a lot of effort from you to try and convince these people here that you no longer practice those things. You know, coming back to what the gentleman said up there...
because we're almost out of time.
The particular group he's talking about does prey on for first-year students on campuses.
Right.
I start a lecture tour next month in Cambridge University on this very subject.
Mm-hmm.
They are banned from campuses because young people on a campus are in a strange environment and are very vulnerable. And these are the people that are going to be the captains of industry and our solicitors and barristers tomorrow. So we do need to care about these groups. We very much need to care.
Right, let's have one final quick point from lady. The lady here wants to make a good point. Yes, very quickly.
I was brought up in the Salvation Army and I found their doctrine far too strict to live by. Now, if you say that wasn't good enough for you, I'm sorry, there's something wrong.
All right, we're going to have to leave it there because we're out of time, I'm afraid. But thanks very much. Sorry, we're out of time. Thanks. A round of applause for our guests. Thank you. Thank you.
That's everything for tonight. The end of another stonking show, I think.
Join us same time, same place next Friday night.
Indeed, we're going to finish with some music from our band Total Control and a song called
I Feel Good.
See you next week. Good night.
Bye-bye.
Gosh, look around, turn around, jump down. Oh man, we're back. We're back. Here we go, here we go, here we go. I feel good, like I knew that I would now. I feel good, like I knew that I would now. Wow, so good, so good. I got you. Wow, I feel nice. Sugar and spice. Wow, I feel nice. Sugar and spice. Gosh, so nice, so nice. I got you. Wow. Hold me, Jack. Touch me. Get me. Woo. Yeah. When I got you in my arms, baby, tell me. Love can't do me no wrong. Yeah. When I got you in my arms, love can't do me no wrong. I feel nice, sugar and spice. I feel good, like I knew that I would now. So good, so good. I got you. I feel nice. Sugar and spice. I feel like I knew that I would now. So good, so good. I got you. Touch me. Oh yeah. Squeeze me. Wow. When I got you in my arms, tell me love can't do me no wrong. When I got you in my arms, love can't do me no wrong. I feel nice, sugar and spice. I feel good, like I knew that I would now. So good, so good. I got you. Wow, so good, so good.